Hey, I'm Joel Bulquay, and I'm sat here with Cat Burns and Rachel Chinouriri, and we're here to get into their new track, Even.
Hi, I'm Rachel Chinouriri. I am from London born and bred. However, my heritage is Zimbabwean, and I released my debut album, What a Devastating Turn of Events, this year, and I spoke about the struggles and battles of growing up as a Black British creative and what I've had to deal with. In this podcast, Even, I'll be sitting with my dear friend, Cat Burns, and we'll be discussing what it's like making music as Black British creatives in the UK and the contributions we are making to British culture. We will also be joined by some amazing guests to speak about representation, creative expression, and our identity in our creativity. So this is Even, and let's get into it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
I listened to the first ep, very interesting topics raised, which leads me to the song you guys have done together, called Even. How did that even come about?
Even was written, I think, in like 2019-ish, and it was a discussion about how we're perceived as Black people in the music industry or in society in general, and how no matter how hard you try to almost get rid of your identity, there's things like when I was younger where I would like straighten my hair, talk a certain way, try and like be embarrassed when things of my culture was brought up. All these things where you almost try and hide it to fit in, and you will never fit in and you will never be treated as even, no matter how hard you try. And it's kind of talking about the battles of that and, you know, wishing for things to hopefully make it better. And yeah, that's what Even's about. And then we got a lovely Cat over here who wrote the second verse, and she smashed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you heard the song, like, what was your kind of reaction? Did you know you wanted to jump on it straight away?
Yeah, I did. As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, the message is so important. And I was just so conscious of like, what do I want to say? Because there's so much I want to say. How do I condense it into this verse, and how do I get across, I guess, like my experience of being like a Black female artist in the industry? So as soon as I heard it, I was like, yes, absolutely yes. And then I was like, okay, how do I say what I want to say? And I hope I did a good job.
No, you smashed it. I have to say, this song is so good. It's been on repeat since I heard it. It's also very deep, like the lyrics hit deep straight from the jump. Wish I could lay my head to rest with a little more money. I wouldn't worry about a trick, a miss, a hit, or a stupid anybody. Ain't a hurry. Now, I talk about this kind of thing a lot, especially when it comes to Black women in music. So I wanted to ask, what would the world look like with Black women with unlimited resources, especially within music?
Oh. We would take over the world.
We would take over the world.
We are the blueprint. We have always been,
I think,
the blueprint.
I think maybe a lot of things that Black women have made, helped, or come up with would actually be acknowledged for once, versus being taken and then almost having this resurgence of actually it was a Black woman who found this thing out. It's mad because sometimes I say even with unlimited resources there's still some degree of struggle which we will have. So I'm like, if we were to then take out the struggle, oh Lord, the vibes.
The vibes
would be so hard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, Black women, just unlimited vibes.
I think I felt this way ever since I was little, of like not showing when I'm angry, really kind of having a mask up. I think it adds with being autistic and having like masking in and around places. And then I think being a Black woman adds an extra layer of, oh, I really have to mask around people. I have to show the best version of myself. I have to like just smile and bear it and just bear the hardships of being in the industry and never say when anything bothers me and just say yes to everything. And I had so much imposter syndrome right at the start of everything happening. I mean, I'm still at the start, but at the start, I was really like, oh, I don't even feel like I'm deserving of being in any of these spaces. So I need to just keep my mouth shut in all situations. So if I'm not happy with anything, I just need to just keep quiet. And I'm lucky to have a team that are like, no, if you don't want to do something, please just say, and we will tell them you don't want to do it. But I'm there like, no, it's fine, I'll just do it. And then I had to work through that in therapy to be like, no, if you don't want to do something and you're not happy with how things are, you're allowed to say that. And I think the next kind of thing is working on speaking my mind more about, I guess, my experiences publicly. I just don't really do that. Because I'm kind of the same as you, so you don't want to be seen like you're complaining, and people are very quick to try and make it seem like, oh, you're just saying everything's hard for you, but look at where you are, so what are you even talking about? And it's very quick for people not to see the intention behind what you're saying. So I'm really conscious of learning how to speak up for myself more publicly without the fear of that meaning that I'll lose, like, everything. Because there is still that, like, unfortunately, with black artists, with most things, we do get a harsher, like, sentence with things. We're treated hard, like, we're not giving the benefit of the doubt with things. So I think that's why I'm even more conscious about making sure I don't say things in a way that could be taken in the wrong way, and then that's it. My whole career is just dashed into the bin because I said something in not the right way. Yeah, exactly. Finished. She's locked off. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very conscious of that.
Yeah. And Rachel, what was your reaction when she sent the verse back?
I was very bloody impressed, Kat.
Were you?
Yeah, I was.
Yay.
Yeah, I absolutely bloody loved it, and I think there's just something about black women joining forces. Yeah. But also in just a really authentic way. Like we said before, we went to school together in different years, but went to the same school. We both have appreciated each other since school. Yeah, I just liked how I've always wanted to work with Kat, and I think Kat is I'm talking about Kat as if she's not right here. I think she's an amazing storyteller, genuinely lovely, lovely girl, actually very funny. It's not like one of those people who you meet and I'm on camera going, oh my God, yeah, she's so nice. And behind I'm like, oh. It's not like that at all. And the fact that we're able to tell such a story together is amazing.
Like, just seeing you guys together, you're really fun. And
Thank you so
much. How do you balance that, like talking about something so deep, but at the same time having a lot of fun? You mentioned earlier you don't want to come across like complaining, but the truth is you guys don't really complain. You're having a lot of fun with it. How is that balance?
I think black people can't afford to complain, which is a sad thing, where we are allowed to shout and scream about things, but I think since I was young growing up, we've never been afforded the chance to complain, because the moment you start complaining, you're already back behind at the starting line while everyone's still going forward. We don't have the luxury of stopping to complain. And I think also for me and my family specifically, a lot of trauma that we went through on a race level was dealt with by just laughing.
Oh, same.
Comedy, laughing, which sounds nuts to say, but every black person will know that almost racist things happen, you just have to laugh, because the moment you let it hit you, if anything happens, you'll be seen as you'll be seen as the person who's initiated that whole thing, even if you're the victim in it. And I think when you grow up learning that, it then goes into my work ethic. And it's interesting because so many people in my team are like, you work so hard, you do this, you get this done, X, Y, Z. But I'm like, for me, this is the base level.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's almost like I should be lucky that I am in this position, which I am in one way. But there's so many things, like you said, where you have to be so conscious. Maybe sometimes I'm like, have I been restricted, or am I restricting myself to some degree? But it's also the fear of, if I then unrestrict myself, what are the consequences going to be? Is all the work I've put in for these years then going to be undone? There's so many different fears that go into your mind and in play in these moments.
And I feel like I think that's why the song's like so fun, because it's obviously like, again, we're talking about real things, but the chorus is kind of like, we're just kind of like, but this is just like what it is. Like, this is just what it is. You can't change it. Like, I think that's how black people operate, and black women operate anyway. We just, if we don't laugh, we'll cry. If we don't make some sort of light out of it, or make jokes about it, then...
No, if we don't laugh, we're seen as aggressive.
Exactly. So we have to laugh.
Yeah.
And then lastly, what do you want people to take from it?
I think this song's definitely, I want to say dedicated to, like, I want to say black people, black young people who are in this a position of discovery, because I think a lot of black kids in our early adolescence and our teens is when you go through this period where when you're young, you kind of don't notice, but then when you're a teen, you start to notice, but start to blame maybe the elder people because they'll be like, don't care about that, don't be worried about this, but you're like, why can't I be? And it will always figure itself out in some way, shape or form. You just have to believe in the power that I think our ancestors have put into us, the strength that we carry, because, oh boy, do we have to be fucking strong to be black in any country, any world. Would I change it for anything? No. No matter how hard you try and change it or want to change it, which is a phase I think loads of black people go through. Not every, I went through a phase of self-hate. But even through that, it's like instead of trying to stop yourself, go through that emotion, live that emotion, understand what the emotion is. And I'm trying to be a person who's always like, be grateful that these things have happened to you because you gain so much perspective of life, people, other people around you. And I think I want this song to represent that, but also be relatable to other people. Loads of different races are going to relate to this in one way, whether it's bullying, sexuality, self-consciousness, insecurity. It's relatable in any ways, but to look at the people who have written it and think about the things that maybe we've gone through and how that feeling is still universal in multiple different ways, but where that feeling has come from, I think is important.
I've got 2 questions, yeah. So the track is called Even.
Yes.
Why did you call it that? And do you guys have like a specific time in your life where you clocked it? Like, is there like a time where you had that awakening where you're like, oh crap, like the game is rigged?
Well, I named it Even. Is it really corny to say it rhymed with the other word in the chorus? We talk the same. Why does no one else believe in us?
Yeah, fair.
And then I kept being like, guess they never played us. Guess they didn't what? And then Even came, and I think with songwriting for me, I'm like, the universe hands you songs. And when I'm having those days when I can't come up with melodies, I'm like, cool, today the universe don't want to give me nothing. But then when there's the days where it just effortlessly, like the melody just came in, the words were just kind of coming in quite effortlessly. And I think when Even came out and I'd already written the first verse, I was just kind of like, this all pieces together and how unevenly we are treated in this industry. And I obviously wrote that song at a time where I don't even think I'd gone viral yet for my Black and Indie post. So I was definitely feeling a bit rigged at that point. So to be able to come back to it now in this position, it's interesting to see how my perspective has not even changed, but it's almost still the same, no matter how. Now I've got all this money I was talking about at the beginning. There's still the exact same situation. Yeah, I'm still like, I need more money to do this and do that. And it's interesting, yeah.
I think I always knew. I think there actually was never a point where I thought, oh my gosh. I think I always knew and was always really conscious of it. So I was really like, okay, I'm gonna have to work double as hard. I'm gonna have to like do twice as much to get myself even remotely in the door. My sister always describes it as like the door was kind of left ajar and I just sort of slid in before it slammed shut. She's like, I don't really know how you've managed to get away. Like, obviously, she's like, you're talented and you're amazing and I love you. But she was like, it's almost like the door was just a little bit ajar and you managed to just sort of slide in. So I think I've just always known it wasn't even.
I think it was when I first released So My Darling and it got put into like Soul Sunday.
Sweet Soul Sunday.
So yeah, and I was like, whoa. I was like, oh, okay, this is so not Sweet Soul. And I remember going to my team like, oh, but by the way, this is like not sweet or soul in any way. It's actually a really sad song, like, and it's not soul, like it's absolutely not soul. Like, pretty sure the guy who did the vocals on it was like, I got told was last year like Mabel, who's like super pop. So I was like, oh, I've done all the things to make sure it's really pop. How on earth has that happened? And then I was just told, you need to just post it anyways because you don't want to lose connections. And I was just, that's the moment I was like, cool. So I just have to be grateful for even just being called R&B, hip hop Lily Allen. It's like, we'll just post it anyways. I'm like, I'm not a hip hop Lily Allen.
Sorry.
But it was just...
You aren't?
Someone called you hip hop.
To be honest,
what do you mean?
Yeah,
I thought you were.
I thought I was too.
I thought I was saying with Lily Allen right now.
I am, but just hip hop. But it was just like, in those moments where people would be like, no, we know that's not the case, but you have to post it or else they might not put your songs in other stuff. That's the moment I was like, cool. So I have to identify with this, even though also speaking out against it. That's the moment I was like, yeah, this is not fun.
The speaking out, honestly, guys, it's really helping. So like, on behalf of the industry and other artists, like, thank you for doing so. I remember I had like a Music Week interview a couple of weeks ago, and they said like, oh, like, what's the current state of like black music? And I knew what they meant when they asked me that question. So I was like, oh, it's like great. You know, I just saw Miles Smith like shut down Big Weekend, Griff open for like Taylor, Old Black Era, because there definitely is a box that is like stereotypically assigned to black creators. But I feel like, yeah, the music that you guys are making and the way you guys are marketing it is showing that, yeah, we should be led with our ears and our eyes. So
yeah.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.